Yes, hello everyone, and welcome to Senior Counsel here on LI News Radio. I'm your host, Stephen Stern, partner in the law firm of Davidow, Siegel and Stern. Davidow, Siegel and Stern, Long Island's elder law, special needs, and estate planning firm. If you have questions regarding elder law and estate planning, feel free to give us a call at 631-234-3030. That's 631-234-3030. And it really is a great pleasure to welcome back my friend, my colleague, Maxine Hartley. Maxine Hartley is the managing director of Smooth Transitions of New York. We began our conversation here on Senior Counsel last week, talking about smooth transitions and the background and the passion and the vision that you bring to the company, and started to have a conversation about the services that you provide. And one of the important things that we had left off on last week that I wanted to continue our discussion of today was when you have an older adult, someone who is looking to, as you put it, right-size their home. It can be physically demanding. It is an emotional time, and all too often, an older adult will rely on members of his or her family, the adult children. Maybe they live close by, maybe they don't. Maybe they're not able to be of any meaningful assistance because of geography. Maybe it's because, although they live right around the corner, all of the demands of their daily lives really prevent them from assisting in at least an ongoing and a meaningful way. But many times, children, they just live someplace else. They live out of state, and Smooth Transitions really does step in to assist a family in that kind of a situation.
Yes. When somebody has to make a move or relocate, and family is living outside the state, it really is not possible for the family to do the job. They just can't. And decisions have to be reached. Should the parent or parents move out of state as well to be closer to the children? Or should they stay where they are in the local community and just go to a smaller residence? I like to be in close contact with the children and let them know everything that is taking place, because frequently the children are making the decisions alongside of the parent, and they need to be included. I really don't want to work with the person in an isolated way. I like the family involved. They need to know what's happening. They can change course, but I'm all about good communication. So everybody is in the loop and we make decisions together. My job is to execute the decisions that the older adult and their family want to have done. That's my job.
And I would think that it's difficult enough for an older adult to begin this process on his or her own. If they felt very strongly about involving a family member who just doesn't have the time or the ability, quite frankly, to devote to that kind of an effort, then it will never get started. And I'm sure there are, and you've seen it in your experience, where there must be so many false starts along the way, whereas the flip side, the exact opposite really, utilizing you and your services not only gets it started timely, but it gets started well from the very beginning.
Right. You really need to have a plan as to what has to be done first. Some things need lead time. You can't just pick up the phone and hire a mover if they're booked. You have to make all of the calls in advance, get other people's schedules, work within those schedules, because you really don't determine the schedule yourself. Mm-hmm. A mover tells you, this is when I have availability. A painter tells you, this is when I have availability. It's my job to make the calls, find out everybody's schedule, and put it together in a cohesive, logical way so we can move from A to Z. Ideally, there's a certain structure, but sometimes life happens, and you have to go with the flow. And that's the part that's stressful. I like to use email, for example, to the family and say, this is what I'm planning on doing. This is the lay of the land. I'm speaking to your mom, your dad. They know this is happening, but in an email, it's easy for me to let the children know what's happening. So they're informed. I don't have to speak to the children necessarily, but email is a great tool for informing everybody as to what's happening. And from an emotional point of view, I had said last week, change is hard for most people. Just constitutionally, people don't enjoy the process of change. And I'm there to give that emotional support. Yeah. If they feel sad, if they're depressed, if they're not sure what to do, because again, they're looking at a lifetime of treasures that they've acquired, and sometimes they just need a sounding board. I'm just there to listen. I can offer advice and counsel, but they just need someone to talk to. It's a very difficult situation to be in if you're isolated and don't have a sounding board.
And that could be difficult enough if someone is interested in changing their home from the home that they've had, the two-car garage that they purchased in 1955 and has raised their families in, their grandchildren have come to visit, and that's a part of the family fabric. It's a very different situation when on a moment's notice someone gets sick, someone breaks a hip, someone suffers a stroke, and is now able to live perhaps somewhat independently, but no longer in that same two-story, two-car garage home that they purchased in 1955 that needs an awful lot of work, and they're not going to be able to negotiate the steps 10 times a day, where their needs change, but they still want to live independently. That's a change of scene, it's a change of lifestyle, and can be very, very emotional. And many would think that perhaps there's a negativity to that, but you're here to say that going through the transition smoothly can mean that it doesn't necessarily have to be that way.
Right. That's why I call it right-sizing. You moved to a home when you were planning to have children, and it served your purpose as well. And yes, there are memories embedded in that residence, but I look at it as now you're building, it's a new chapter in your life. It's a positive chapter. It's not a negative chapter. It's just a different chapter in your life. And I look at it as something very promising, where you're going to have another phase of your life to be happy in, and it'll suit your needs right now. The gentleman whose home that I renovated, who was in his 80s, case in point, he had Parkinson's disease, and it suddenly took a turn for the worse. And unexpectedly, toward the end of the renovation, he needed to be put into assisted living. And it was sudden. It just hit. He had it for 10 years, but it took a turn for the worse. And suddenly I had to shift gears with the family, and we had to take a whole different tack. And we had to find buyers for the house. You know, as I said, life is not smooth. You just go with the flow. And I switched gears, but thank goodness we had the COs, that the house is sellable, and it worked out. But sometimes people need to know that staying in place in their home, even if they're not physically ill, it might not be the healthiest thing for them to do.
Could even be dangerous.
It could be dangerous, but people are social animals. When you become isolated in a home and your friends have died off or are dying off, your children don't have time to visit you all the time, I think that leads to depression. And I think a change of pace is very healthy. And it's to be with other people that you can have activities and enjoy with them. I think that's a positive. So I don't think of transitioning as negative. It's just people get scared when they have to make a change.
And that's really the important value that you and Smooth Transitions brings to that type of a need, because what could otherwise be a difficult and dramatic change, you really make a smooth transition.
Right, because you're prepping people. They're engaged with you in the process. It's not like I'm doing it for them. They're part of the process along with me. I'm taking care of the stuff that needs to be taken care of, but they're with me. Mm-hmm. Nothing is happening to them. They're participating in the change occurring in their life.
And so, Maxine, if listeners have questions for you, they can contact you and Smooth Transitions how?
You can contact me at 631-761-5371 or via email at mhartley, that's HARTLEY, at smoochtransitionsny.com.
And you are listening to Senior Counsel here on LI News Radio. If you have questions regarding elder law estate planning issues, feel free to give me a call at 631-234-3030. That's 631-234-3030. We're coming back with Managing Director of Smooth Transitions, Maxine Hartley, in just a moment. Back in a bit. We're back here on LI News Radio. You're listening to Senior Counsel, and I'm your host, Stephen Stern, partner in the law firm of Davidow, Siegel Stern. Davidow, Siegel Stern, Long Island's elder law, special needs, and estate planning firm where the best advice leads to lasting solutions. If you have questions regarding elder law, estate planning, give me a call at 631-234-3030. That's 631-234-3030. And we're continuing our conversation with Maxine Hartley. Maxine is the Managing Director of Smooth Transitions of New York, and we're talking about older adults and perhaps their families who are going through a transition in life, and the services that Smooth Transitions offers to older adults and their families to make that move easy, to make it in a process where perhaps much of the stress and the anxiety and the physical demands of making a move are present. And as we said before in the last segment, a situation that could be difficult, that could be demanding, a tough change for someone. You, Maxine, make a smooth transition, and you do that here locally. And as we said before, many times. Older adults, for whatever reason, they just want to move on from the big house. Maybe they want to go to a different part of town. Maybe they want to be closer to children. Maybe they have suffered some kind of illness and have other demands that require them to move locations. But sometimes that move, that transition, doesn't happen by going across the street or to the next neighborhood. Many times, that's a transition to someplace else out of state. And so how do you deal with that kind of a situation? How do you guide an older adult and his or her family through that process?
Well, Smooth Transitions is part of a non-for-profit organization called the National Association of Senior Move Managers, or NASMM. And we can pick up the phone and reach one of our affiliates in any state and have them coordinate with us the other side of the move. So if they're moving from Long Island to whether it's Florida or the Carolinas or Arizona, it makes no difference where, we can do our job here, and our affiliate, who has the same training, can finish the job on the other end. But we would still be managing the process along with the affiliate. So we don't cut the cord once they move.
So specifically then, what are some of the services that you would provide, that Smooth Transitions of New York would provide here with the originating home? And what would be some of the services that you can foresee an affiliate someplace else, like in Florida, North Carolina, Arizona, providing on the other end?
Well, the unpacking, the receiving end of the moving company, obviously, to be there when everything is removed from the vans, the unpacking, the hooking up of the utilities. In advance of that, they could take care of any repairs of the new residence that need to be made, painting, cleanup, whatever needs to be done to make that new environment in move-in condition they can take care of.
And that's really important, because if a move wasn't dramatic enough,
right,
For any of us, by the way, right?
Yes.
Of any age.
Yes.
If it wasn't dramatic enough, now arriving in your new home with all of the boxes still all boxed up, with none of the utilities turned on, wow, that and of course there's a life to be lived at the same time, and so not everybody has the time and the focus to devote to unpacking and getting a home ready, particularly an older adult who might have other challenges at the same time. That's really an invaluable service.
Yes, and this organization focuses on seniors, as we do. Mm-hmm. So this is just not a non-for-profit organization that helps people relocate. They focus on seniors, hence the name, the National Association of Senior Move Managers. So they're like us, but on the other side. They're dedicated. They will do the same work that we do. Mm-hmm. So we trust them because that's their motive.
And that's particularly important for, as you had said before, children of older adults who want to be involved for one reason or another, might not be able to participate in the move in a meaningful way, but still want to be part of the coordination process. You do an outstanding job of keeping them in the loop as to progress that's going on, but they want to know that if they are helping to coordinate and be informed from afar, that there is going to be a same level of service going from New York to wherever mom or dad are going.
That's critical. That's critical. And there are so many other things that people think of. Let's say somebody has a stamp collection or a coin collection and they don't want it anymore. We will help them find a good place to sell that. It's artwork. Maybe they have a beautiful collection of artwork. Maybe they want to donate it to a university that they attended. Yeah. Whatever it is they need, we're there for them. And it's exciting for me because it's never dull. It's sometimes I don't know what's going to come up. Yeah. And sometimes they may have things that are of value they're not even aware of. Mm-hmm. Maybe some of their things need to go to auction. Maybe some of their things need to be appraised. So we're there with them as we uncover what their needs are, but it's always different.
Right. We're speaking with Maxine Hartley, Managing Director of Smooth Transitions of New York, here on Senior Counsel. Maxine, if listeners have questions for you, they can contact you and Smooth Transitions how?
At telephone number 631-761-5371. or via email at mhartley, that's Hartley, at smoothtransitionsny.com.
Oh, many people have been through a move, but it's not just about the move. In many ways, it's about what's going on in their lives at the time. It's about some of the other challenges that perhaps cause the reason to move, or some of the challenges that are going to come after a move. Really what you provide is not just a service with all of these details, of course, as important as that is, but really it's about providing seniors and their families peace of mind as they go through what would otherwise be a very challenging process.
Yes. We have developed really good strategic relationships with real estate companies who can help them think through where they should live in advance, how to sell their homes. We have relationships with mortgage companies as well. I think of us as one-stop shopping. They come to us and we can help them in so many ways. I think we just have a lot of great tentacles out there on Long Island. Real estate companies that could help them relocate to another state or stay here in communities that would suit them. Of course, Davidow and Davidow could help them with assisted living, if that's the case, or if somebody unfortunately passes away, there's estate dispersal. We're there for them in just a wide variety of ways. It's not merely relocating. it's way beyond relocating. So it is one-stop shopping.
And that's an important element, and that's an important feature, really, of smooth transitions. And really that takes us back to where our conversation began, because you come from a place not just having empathy and bring your emotion and your passion to assisting older adults and their families, but a particular skill set that's so important when you're choosing people to welcome into your home and help guide you through what, again, could be perhaps otherwise be a very difficult and challenging time, and make it a much smoother transition.
Yes, I want them to look back at it as a happy time, and it should be a happy time, because they're right sizing. They're not wrong sizing. They're not downsizing. They are right sizing, and they should land and say, I enjoyed this experience.
And so if listeners have questions about right sizing and how you can best guide them through that process, Maxine, they can contact you how?
At telephone number 631-761-5371, or at mhartley, HARTLEY, at smoochtransitionsny.com.
Maxine Hartley is the Managing Director of Smooth Transitions of New York. Maxine, just a pleasure to have you with us
Thank
today.
you. Thank you. My pleasure.
And I'm Stephen Stern, partner in the law firm of Davidow, Siegel Stern. Questions on elder law and estate planning, feel free to give us a call at 631-234-3030. That's 631-234-3030. You can get us on the web, www.davidowlaw.com. Davidow, Siegel Stern, where the best advice leads to lasting solutions. And we'll see you here on Senior Counsel next time.